All right, let's dive right into this explainer and uncover the absolutely fascinating biological machinery that allows our bodies to move, breathe, and just function every single day. We kind of take our physical movements for granted, don't we? But underneath our skin is this incredibly complex, highly coordinated system that operates flawlessly to keep us going. You've actually got over 600 of these essential muscle tissues constantly putting in the work for you. Think about it. Without them, you couldn't hold your posture, you couldn't digest your lunch, you couldn't even pump blood through your veins. They are literally the ultimate engines of the human body. So, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start by meeting your body's movers. Then we'll dive into the microscopic muscle machinery, look at the mechanics of movement, explore exercise, fuel, and fatigue. And finally, we'll break down the anatomy of a single action. Okay, part one, meet your body's movers. Let's establish exactly what muscles are and the absolute golden rule for how they operate. Here's the thing you have to remember. Muscles cannot push. They strictly produce force by pulling. They do this by contracting and physically becoming shorter, meaning they can only generate force by pulling on your bones. And because of this hard and fast rule of human biology, they usually have to work in pairs or groups just to move different parts of your body back and forth. Now, your body actually categorizes all these biological pullers into three distinct types, depending on where they are and what they're doing. First up, we've got skeletal muscles. These are attached to your bones by super strong connective tissues called tendons, and they handle everything from running a marathon to lifting your coffee cup. Then we have smooth muscles quietly working away inside your stomach, your intestines, and your blood vessels. And lastly, the highly specialized cardiac muscle, which exclusively makes up your heart and literally never stops contracting. And this setup is a brilliant way to divide the labor between what we consciously control and what runs on autopilot. Skeletal muscles, they handle our voluntary movements. You decide to write a sentence, your brain tells your hand to move, and boom, it does. But smooth and cardiac muscles handle the involuntary stuff. Your smooth muscles are automatically contracting in waves to move food through your digestive tract, and your cardiac muscle tirelessly pumps blood without you ever having to spare a single thought for it. Moving on to part two. The microscopic muscle machinery. We're going to zoom way, way down into the cells of a muscle fiber to see how a movement is actually born. Every single voluntary movement you make follows a strict sequence. It all kicks off in your nervous system. The second you decide to move, your brain fires an electrical signal through nerve cells called motor neurons. That signal shoots down from your brain or spinal cord directly to the exact muscle that needs to get to work. And when that electrical signal hits the muscle, it triggers a cascade of chemical changes. Specifically, it releases a flood of calcium ions inside the muscle cell. This sudden rush of calcium acts like a key, allowing two proteins, actin and myosin, to interact. Myosin basically reaches out, grabs the actin, and pulls it inward. This makes absolutely millions of microscopic units within the muscle, known as sarcomeres, shorten all at the exact same time. The whole muscle shortens, force is produced, and we call this incredible process the sliding filament mechanism. Now, none of this microscopic pulling happens for free, right? You gotta pay the toll. The immediate energy source, the currency your muscle cells use, is a molecule called ATP. Think of ATP as the cash that pays for the myosin to keep pulling. Your body is just continuously churning out ATP by breaking down carbs and fats to fuel all these intense chemical reactions. But obviously, you don't just stay flexed forever. It's a highly controlled cycle. That nerve signal starts the calcium release, which kicks off the contraction. But the moment that signal stops, the calcium gets packed away back into storage. Without it, the actin and myosin let go of each other, and the muscle finally gets to relax back to its resting state. All right, section 3, the mechanics of movement. Let's zoom back out to the skeletal system to see how this microscopic machinery actually moves you around in the physical world. So, bringing it back to our golden rule, if muscles can only generate force by pulling and getting shorter, how on earth do we fluidly move our limbs back and forth? If your muscle can only pull your arm up, how does it push it back down? Well, it's all about teamwork, specifically antagonistic pairs acting as a system of levers. Take a look at your arm. When you want to bend your elbow, your biceps muscle contracts, pulling your forearm up. But at that exact same time, its partner on the back of your arm, the triceps, has to relax to allow that to happen. Want to straighten your arm back out? The roles completely reverse. The triceps contracts to pull the arm straight, while the biceps relaxes. One pulls one way, the other pulls the opposite way. It's perfectly balanced. And here's a wild thought. Even when you're just standing there or sitting down watching this explainer, you aren't really still. The muscles in your back, your neck, your legs, they are constantly firing with tiny microscopic pulls. They're making continuous, real-time adjustments just to keep your spine aligned, maintain your posture, and keep gravity from pulling you right down to the floor. Which brings us to section 4, exercise, fuel, and fatigue. What happens when we really push this biological machinery to its limits? When you're working out, your muscles are screaming for massive amounts of ATP to keep that sliding filament mechanism going. And to produce that energy, they desperately need oxygen. So your heart has to beat faster to pump oxygen-rich blood to the muscles, and your breathing ramps up to pull more oxygen into your body while simultaneously clearing out the carbon dioxide you're creating as a byproduct. But eventually you hit that dreaded wall, right? Muscle fatigue. It happens when your muscles literally just cannot produce the same level of force anymore. And it's actually a pretty complex shutdown. It's driven by changing chemistry in the muscle, depleted energy reserves, and, fascinatingly, your own nervous system deliberately stepping in to reduce performance. It acts as a built-in safety switch to protect your body from tearing itself apart. But muscles aren't just for moving. They're literally your body's built-in space heaters. When muscles burn ATP, a lot of that energy is released as heat. Your nervous system is so smart that if your internal temperature drops too low, it hacks your muscles into rapidly shivering. Those fast involuntary contractions exist for one reason only, to generate heat and warm you back up. Finally, section 5, anatomy of an action. Let's tie the whole shebang together, both the macro and the micro, into one simple, relatable thing you do every day. Think about just lifting a book off a table. It feels totally instant, right? But here's the lightning-fast chain reaction that literally just went down. Your brain makes the call and fires a signal down a motor nerve. The signal hits your arm. Boom! Calcium floods the muscle fibers. Backed by ATP, the actin and myosin proteins instantly bind and slide inward. Your bicep visibly shortens, yanking on the tendon attached to your forearm. Your elbow acts as a lever, bending upward. And just like that, the book is in the air. It's all happening in a fraction of a millisecond. Honestly, it leaves you wondering, just how many millions of highly coordinated chemical miracles have fired off inside your own muscles in the last 10 minutes alone, just to keep you breathing and sitting upright to watch this explainer. It's a profound reminder that even when we think we're completely still, our bodies are an absolute masterpiece of motion. Keep that in mind the next time you take a walk, grab a cup of coffee, or even just take a deep breath.